next item in the agenda is a very, very exciting and interesting panel discussion named as CSR and the Decade of Action. Ladies and gentlemen, as we complete 10 years, yes, 1 decade of CSR, I would like to call upon Mr. Pratyush Panda, Head ESG LTI Mindtree, Mr. Anthony Nelissery, Head Sterlite Adel India Foundation, Mr. Subramanya Kusnur, Founder and Chairman Aquacraft Group Ventures, Mr. Abhimanyu Sahu, Director of Schneider Electric, Ms. Rishika Jaiswal, Regional Social Impact Manager of Kolhar and Company for this panel discussion. And finally, I would like to call upon Mr. Praveen Khan to moderate this panel. He is Head Group CSR, Spark Minda Group. Ladies and gentlemen, let's put our hands together for this wonderful panel. We want to know from you the decade that went by and the decade that would come forward.
The responsibility which is given to me is to talk about the 10 years of CSR, that too in 20 minutes. So you have to bear with me. We're going to go on a probably 2x or 3x speed, and I'll also be restricting to certain questions to all of you. A decade of CSR in India. The introduction of Companies Act took place in the year 2013. And subsequently, there are amendments which took place. Well, this act was voluntary in nature, and there were corporations who were doing it. But later, it became an act. Guruji was talking that although it's an act, but it should be done from your heart. And what do we call it? We call it Corporate Social Responsibility Act. Can an act be a responsibility? Can a responsibility be an act? Think about it. I'm just setting up the tone. Let me tell you about this 10 years first of all. This 10 years, I have divided this 10 years in 5 stages. Stage 1, Garbhavastha stage, the incubation stage, which talks about pre-2013 stage. And in that era, we had a lot of voluntary things done by many of socially conscious organizations, and they were following majorly the Millennium Development Goal, National Voluntary Guidelines in India, and they were doing many things, philanthropy, checkbook charity, and a lot of organized CSR too. Stage 2, Balyavastha, infancy stage. 2013 to 15, the year in which the act was introduced, people thought that this is another form of a tax. The HR and the secretarial department were assigned the responsibility in various corporations to undertake it. Compliance was the agenda when this was introduced. कि भैया मुझे compliant होना है corporate social responsibility में. A lot of donation took place. And one of the major areas of intervention for people was skill development. इसमें स्टेज 2 में बहुत सारे ब्लैंकेट और स्टेशनरी के भी डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन हुए थे, बहुत सारी फोटोग्राफी भी हुई थी, और कमिटी पॉलिसी और एनुअल रिपोर्ट, ये 3 चीज़ें और भी हुई थी. I go to stage 3, किशोरावस्था, adolescence, 16 to 18, where schedule 7 was prioritized, a lot of areas emerged, a lot of conferences started happening in India. Leaders of CSR took the opportunity to guide others. And this was also an era of social media when a lot of digital things took place. We also saw CSR was treated as a tool of branding during that era. I go to stage 4, Yuvavastha, adulthood, 19 से लेके 21 तक, 2019 to 2021. What we did, SDGs came in place, partnerships, collaborations, government partnerships. CSR was also treated, and it fell under the criminal offense. A lot of discussion happened. Later it was removed. Prime Minister Relief Fund में बहुत सारे पैसे गए थे और बड़ी डिबेट हुई थी. कंसल्टेंसीज अचानक से इमर्ज होकर के आई, एकेडमिया CSR के साथ कनेक्ट होने लगा. 2 चीज़ें और थी जो काफ़ी डिस्कशन में थी इस एरा में. एक थी कोरोना के लिए पैंडेमिक रिलीफ के प्रोग्राम्स और एक और था दैट वाज इम्पैक्ट असेसमेंट ऑन सीएसआर. नाउ आई कम टू द लास्ट स्टेज, स्टेज 5, प्रौढ़ावस्था 2022 to today. Social innovation, projects on environment protection, ESG integration with corporate social responsibility, long-term projects. So I have given you a glimpse of the works which has happened in a decade of corporate social responsibility starting from 2013 to 2023 approximately. I have with my panel Mr. Pratyush Panda, Head of LTI Mindtree. Sir, the question that I'm placing to you is, how do you look at this 10-year CSR journey and also the sustainability journey in India in last 10 years? I'd be giving you probably some 4 minutes to respond on it. Sir, over to you.
So this journey is very transformative, as I said in the morning also. 2-3 quick takeaway from this journey is, a lot of people came to the sector with a passion, thinking that social engineering is a easy task. And this has somehow failed the movement, not failed, I said slow down the movement. And then soon they realized it's not that easy. And people started taking course corrections. And typically you have seen in government, if somebody doesn't perform in a sector, send it, in UP they shall send them to the Sonbhadra district. Same happened in corporate. Anybody who could not perform anywhere, people started sending them to CSR. Big blunder they did. Some of them realized, started taking course corrections, started putting professional people into that. The brightest were those who were doing it in a big way, say Tata groups, the Birla groups and all. And they did it passionately, but they started putting people with both the fundamental things, passion and profession, both together. And they have scaled in the sector. Going ahead also, we need to see that how we nurture more professionalism in the name of CSR and less in the name of passion. I think that is what I could see it growing. It's growing bigger. It need to grow bigger. That all we need to see. Second, with respect to Mr. Khan on sustainability part of it, as I said again in the morning, till by the time CSR Act came, sustainability got again halt somewhere. People stopped talking about it, and all gaga were around the world jargon called CSR. Again, during COVID, it has started. And somewhere again, it has to go big way, going ahead. And as I said in the morning, organizations, those who have sustainability as inbuilt into their system, will certainly have a longer duration to earn and grow. Those who do not, they have only one choice, either perform on sustainability or perish. Back to you.
So, although the CSR and the sustainability, or ESG, whatever you call it, they appear to be two different functions. But do you find a real integration of CSR with sustainability in the coming time?
It's integration. If you, on sustainability, the measuring yardstick or the matrix is ESG, environment, social governance. So all environmental projects can be done under CSR as per the Schedule 7. It's very clearly spelled out. E is gone. On S, 3 part, your own employees, where CSR cannot be done. Second S is all diversity, say talking about transgender, talking about women, talking about PWDs, again falls under CSR. Third S is pure CSR, whatever you do, you put under S. Governance. Governance is like cross-cutting across all those things. Designing a small SOP is part of governance. Design your policy, your metrics, reporting mechanism, all put into governance. So the moment you start putting both things together and you are working on the both line, you'll see roughly 40% of work will get overlap. Today I proudly say, because I handle both, within my CSR projects, almost 40% are environmental related project, and we proudly say, last year, who did maximum plantation? I said LTI Mindtree. Who did maximum mangroves? On record, we. 4 million, 40 lakhs. 40 lakhs. And there were more than 20,000 small marginal farmers got benefited.
Wonderful.
CSR.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I mean, sir is somebody who is taken care of CSR initial part of his career and now he has both of it. So the experience speaking here. Now I have with me Mr. Anthony Nilesari, Head of Stellite, Adele India Foundation. Sir, मैंने एक बात करी impact assessment की. How do you look at this output to outcome to impact, and this term impact assessment is quite often discussed. That's my first question to you. How do you look at this 10 years of impact assessment? Okay, that's the first part of the question, and I would also ask the integration of sustainability part. But majorly, I would request you to talk on the impact assessment. Over to you. 3 minutes.
Thank you once again for the questions and for inviting me for this conference. From an impact assessment point of view, I think that's the most commonly loose word that has been used in the sector, impact assessment. That's what my reading is. The moment we start the project, in the next month itself, people ask for what is the impact. People confuse between the difference between input, output, outcome and impact. And I think the law says, no, it's like usually for a kind of a 3-year circle, and many of the projects that are being implemented in the social sector, impact assessment is not possible within 2 years or 3 years. It takes a little more longer duration. So I think that's one of the things. While I am appreciative of that particular fact that impact assessment has come, that is one of the kind of question that was to the NGOs. NGOs continue doing work without really measuring and making an impact. So it's a good thing that has come in, but most of the time the reports that are there in the public domain in the website are outcome measurement or maximum output is usually measured. Maximum you will find outcome measurement as impact assessment. So one of the requests to all the corporates and others who are here is, when you do the impact assessment, there should be a kind of phase-wise that we need to look at it. What is the type of impact that can be looked at in first year, second year, third year? Otherwise, the word actual impact goes into the oblivion. The second part that you are looking at from a sustainability point of view, any activity that is being done, that's also another good thing that I see in the last 10 years. Everybody has started talking about sustainability, not just because of ESG, even in CSR itself, a lot of talk about sustainability. We at Stellite India Foundation also, we look at not only the 2% requirement from the corporate, we get more than what is required, more than the 2% from our group companies. But at the same time, we chose one thing that is very important for sustaining all the activity that we are doing in. That is the teacher education part of it. Most of the problem that we are facing in the country is because our school education has not given the right attitude and aptitude to when we become the adults. Many of them come out without the proper employability skills and value system. So if we have to focus on pre-service teacher education, we are not only bringing the teachers who can create that sustainability from the school level. So sustainability not only at the project level we need to look at, we need to also look at the mindset. Guruji was talking about in the morning, mindset. That mindset has to be built in. Sustainability cannot be done over a year, over a project report or an impact assessment. So that has to be inculcated and imbibed from the school level itself.
Wonderful. Impact connecting to sustainability. And you also talked about NGOs. So quite often we have seen that in the last quarter of the financial year, we give away the funding to an NGO and ask them, utilize it. Maybe the fund goes to them in the month of March. Then we ask them, prepare a report, do the intervention, prepare an impact assessment report too, and present it on 31st of March before the completion. How justified this is?
Practically, that particular rule that everything has to be over by 31st of March, I'm not sure if it is how practical it is. Usually, when you're saying that particular project is over, impact assessment or outcome measurement, as I call it, is done after that. It cannot be done before that. And this is the reason many of the activities or projects that are happening in the country, a lot of money gets wasted because it is for the compliance the project is being done, not for the actual sustainability. So if you are able to make that difference and maybe even advocate with the relevant authority for this change of rules, impact assessment has to come a little later. And even from a kind of money that goes from corporate to the NGO, that is good enough from a utilization perspective. But for them to utilize, And in the process, what happens? Many of the things that are not required for expenditure, it is spent because we have to complete the money. If you are in the school education, okay, let us give library books so that money is spent because before 31st of March it has to be completed. So I think that is the kind of a bottleneck at the same time challenge.
Yeah, I think Pratyush wanted to add something very quickly. Sure.
Just one liner. Nowhere in CSR Act it says do impact assessment immediately. It says after 1 year of successful completion of the project, suppose your project is completing in this March, you cannot do impact assessment until March 25. You can only do after April, enough time. Let us not assume that those who have done the rules, regulation, they are fools. Let's interpret in the right spirit, and impact always came, as our colleague said, after certain time. That's the reason that 1 year gap is given.
Pratyush, do you think that we should make a recommendation to MCA that please change the terminology and call it output assessment or outcome assessment rather than impact assessment? Impact is very different that we have understood all of.
If you go with a global standard, say, refer logical framework approach, again explained by him, it is very clearly explained. Input, output, outcome, impact separate. Impact for which objective is not designed, object designed for the project. Some of the impact may come, something may not come, but yet we have to measure after one successful year of completion.
All right. Yes, please, quickly.
So, while we are looking at impact assessment, even that 1 year may not be sufficient to get the impact assessment. That's the point I was trying to make. Secondly, the way in which the implementation has happened before March, you are not going to get impact because the way in which it has been done, from a 1 year, it's quite decent, but even then I feel it's not sufficient. But at the same time, the way in which we have to complete the project by 31st, not only complete utilization, spending, everything, we are not going to help in getting the impact. That's the point I was
Okay, great. To the left of me, Mr. Subramaniam Kusnoor. So, sir, you are the founder and chairman of Aquacraft. That's right. जब ये कानून आया, when we got this introduction, what was your feeling? Did you also feel something like a tax which is imposed on the corporations?
Well,
that's my first question to you.
So, fortunately for us, we were not in the bracket of complying with CSR. We just started a company, and Aquacraft is an innovation-driven company where we have innovated green and sustainable technologies to address the entire water life cycle across drinking water, sewage treatment, recycling, desalination, and recently we started the world's first digital water bank where we are issuing credits, and the first entity to receive these credits was the grace of Gurudev.
Does it not deserve an applaud? Without any compliance desired, he's been doing it. Please go ahead, sir.
I think the applause is needed for Gurudev because they have intervened in over 19,300 villages, which is 3% of the country. I guess this seriously requires a huge applause. The amount of water conservation that has been done by the grace of Gurudev, voluntarily, selflessly, is something which we have now validated, verified, audited, and issued carbon credits. And I'm very happy to say that the first carbon credits transaction has already happened, where Kent Water Purifiers has bought water credits from the Art of Living, and these water credits qualify for investments under CSR.
Wonderful. I mean, that's...
So, when we started this business, to answer your question, we were a startup. Armed with these technologies, we tried to change the mindset of policymakers from going away from conventional technologies which were energy intensive, which used to remove, like reverse osmosis, remove all the minerals from the water, wastes water, throws out sludge. Our technology works on gravity, retains all the minerals, doesn't waste a single water drop, and no sludge. When we talked about this to policymakers, it was very difficult. CSR Act was a blessing in disguise for us because CSR gave us the opportunity to showcase our technology, and HPCL was the first company who gave us this opportunity, and today we have built a balance sheet out of CSR.
Wonderful. That's great to know. Would you like also to comment something on the journey of health and hygiene in last 10 years, maybe in 1 minute?
Well, providing clean drinking water has a direct impact on public health. Okay, and historically what has happened, and we are coming out with the report right now, till now we have treated over 9 billion liters of water, recycled over 45 billion, and saved over 155 trillion liters of water. Each one of these activities that we have done has a direct impact on public health, number one. Number two, on girl child, women's health and hygiene. And most importantly, the ability for these people to go out and generate livelihood on their own.
Corona was a big hotspot?
Corona was the biggest business for us at that time because we were the only people who implemented 4 nameplate projects across the country in full lockdown, total control, and absolutely no movement at all.
Wonderful, wonderful. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Very, very interesting comments from him. I have very less time, and I have next Mr. Abhimanyu Sahu, Director, Schneider Electric. Is CSR all about compliance, or do you think something beyond compliance about it?
Okay, so in my view, I think, compliance, we need to look at it positively. I think now when we're talking about compliance, everything is looking, in different aspects, I just give, if you, of course, the law is important, but without compliance, I think the law will not, meet its objective. I'm just giving you an analogy. Imagine the traffic. We have all traffic law. If you don't have traffic signals, if you don't have traffic police, can you manage the traffic? I don't think. So we need to consider the CSR law in the right spirit. So for example, let's look at what exactly it does, the CSR law, or compliance particularly. Now, because the CSR law has defined certain priorities, which are again aligned with our long-term Millennium Development Goal or SDG goal, so all the companies' CSR activities are focused in that area, towards achieving the SDG goal. That's number one.
You think that a traffic light is required to follow
Otherwise,
it?
And the second point, I'll just, if you don't have the compliance, it would have, the CSR would have never been a part of any board meeting discussion. It is because of the law, now it is discussed in the board, and every board meetings, it is discussed, and the board monitors also.
But many countries in Europe do not have this law, but still they're doing it. How do you look at this?
Okay, so I will just say, see, for example, if you look at, let's say, the different countries are at different stage of development. Now, if you go to, let's say, Norway, there I don't think you require a CSR law, probably, correct? Okay. They have reached that, level of, let's say, intellectual, probably you don't require, human value, life is the most precious thing which is, but in developing countries, I think you require.
We need more value systems among ourselves to do it.
Otherwise, and even another aspect, we are all talking about the compliance. Thanks to this compliance, the reporting requirement, so today we are able to go to the MCA website. You are able to see all the data, which company.
It's more organized.
Yes, it is more organized. It is becoming more efficient. If that was not been there, definitely it would have been very difficult for an NGO to go to a simple website, one website, and check which company is investing or focusing which area. So that it is, if you look at, it is very helpful also for NGOs because of this compliance requirement. They will be able to approach the right company who are working in a particular area for their project.
Wonderful.
So we need to look at in the right spirit.
Madam wants to ask something. Yeah.
So I'll just share my personal experience.
Yeah.
When I said my father long back that I want to do MSW, he said social work ke liye like charity ke liye padhai kaun karta hai?
Charity ke liye padhai kaun karta hai? Very, very interesting.
So, I would just giving that from my personal experience because see, long time the social responsibility, the social work has been seen from that lens that it doesn't need profession. It is not a profession, and this law has really emphasized on the fact that it is a profession. It needs to be done in a certain manner, and the reporting, the monitoring needs to be done in a certain manner, and therefore this law is very much needed to emphasize it again and again. And obviously, as said by Guruji, it is the intent with which you achieve the long-term impact. But somewhere to bring that mindset together, this law has helped a lot.
Wonderful. So, ladies and gentlemen, this is Ms. Rishika Jaswal, Regional Social Impact Manager, Kohler. So, but yes, what you said, with that emergence, we have also seen that there's a lot of organizations are using CSR as a branding tool. How do you look at it?
So it is now again coming to that point, it is perceived as a branding tool, but it is not like that. It is, for example, I'll give Kohler companies intent. It is more from intent side. From 2008, Kohler company has been reporting its social responsibility initiatives, sustainability initiatives, and right from beginning there is a mindset that if you are getting something, if you are, as your presence grows, you give back to the society.
Is profit a bad word?
No, it's not.
If we are able to brand the organization through CSR, is it bad?
It's not. So
It's not.
It's not. Branding is not bad, but CSR activity is not about branding. It is about commitment, ethical commitment of a company towards social upliftment of underprivileged people belonging to vulnerable sections of the
Wow.
society.
Wow.
Second, towards the environmental sustainability. Whatever step you take, you think before that what impact will it have for the future generation.
Wonderful.
So this is more from that emotional sentiment, your emotions, ethics and sentiments coming all together towards taking a professional step, like an organized manner.
Wonderful. So I'm not going to summarize this discussion. I'm stopping this discussion, this panel right here. Why? Because she already has summarized with this point that this is something ethical too. And once you do it with an ethics, an organization and the corporation does it with an ethics, everything that we are expecting, that passion, that impact, that sustainability, this all can be achieved, ladies and gentlemen. That's the 10-year of journey of CSR.
Mr. Anthony Nelissery. Mr. Subramanya Kusnur. Okay, Mr. Anthony. Mr. Anthony Nelissery. Please give him a round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. Mr. Subramanya Kusnur. Mr. Abhimanyu Sahu up next. Ms. Rishika Jaiswal. And finally, Mr. Praveen Khan. Thank you very much to our panel dignitaries. Thank you very much, Mrs. Pachpande, for doing the honors. That's Mr. Praveen Khan. Thank you once again, ladies and gentlemen.